How to get a loan to buy a business. I've done this, I've helped a lot of people do it, and I'm going to tell you 3 key things to keep in mind. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. All right, so I've started my first of 16 companies when I was 19. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people buy and sell businesses up into the 9-figure range. It's crazy. And the thing is that there's a lot of consistencies with this when people are buying and selling businesses. Understanding their motivations is critical. But if you're looking to buy a business, you're like, dude, I don't care about all that. I just want to know, how do I get a loan? Okay. Well, the first thing is that you have to be crystal clear on why you're buying it and that you've got a great business plan. And we talk a lot about that in my book and in the courses. But with this, however you start with it, the 4 primary things in there are understanding your personal motivations, making sure that you understand what you're doing and why you're buying it. The last thing you want to do is jump from out of the frying pan and into the fire. So make sure that you're like, where do I want my life in a year? Will this business fit? Or, because so often people buy businesses with the idea that I want to buy the business and then I'll make my life fit in around it. Make sure you have a clear understanding of what the commitment you're getting involved in and that it fits for you. Make sure that you're really crystal clear on the product or service that you're offering, and that's something that you agree with and that you're great at, and ideally you're going to add a whole bunch more value and take it to a whole different level. It could be with your skill set, it could be with your relationships, it could be with additional outside skill sets that'll augment onto it. Make sure that you personally are doing a healthy market assessment and understand where it is so that you say, yeah, this is a no-brainer. As soon as I get a hold of this, I'm going to go add these other pieces in here. There's reasons specific for a loan on all of these. And then lastly, make sure that you've got a team of advisors that you've explained and talked to, not necessarily the existing team that this person is using, but a great team that you've already done the research and vetted during your due diligence process. So maybe you put the business under contract, you go through and understand where the business is, but you also get a team to help you fully understand it. And that team is usually going to be a great small business attorney, a small business accountant, small business insurance agent, small business banker, small business potentially advertising, and even a real estate person. But once you have this great this business plan, this says I'm buying these current assets from an ongoing concern of this business. However, I'm not buying it to just get by. I want to make sure that I'm gonna thrive in this and we'll be able to take it to a whole nother level. When you do that, have this business plan, it's gonna make it really, really easy to say, is this a no-brainer? And you're gonna see this as a no-brainer. So when you have that, it's gonna be able to present that in a very healthy way, and you may have documentation in there called pro formas and all sorts of other stuff, depending on what the banks need. But when you do this, it's like, oh my goodness, if it's a no-brainer, if it's really clear, after doing your legwork, and invest the time in this, because you can do it, it doesn't cost much except just time, to figure out, is this like a no-brainer? Am I gonna knock the cover off the ball? And if you do, that's gonna make it really, really easy. That's gonna be a huge step, because you will have already shown somebody who's potentially gonna loan you money that, man, I got this. And I already know this, and I know this, and this is solid here, and this is good here, and this is good there. Now, the other thing is, part of the no-brainer from a lending standpoint for getting a loan is we want to understand that we're putting our money in. Are we going to get our money back? How safe is it? Well, the business plan shows that the ongoing concern of the business has these things, and that's going to help. Now, the next thing is going to be, what sort of collateral can you offer in addition to this? So if there happens to be real estate in there, people love real estate. If there happens to be heavy equipment, they may give you 20 cents on the dollar. If you happen to have your own personal home and you've got good equity in there, you may be able to cross-collateralize and use that. Make sure you talk with your spouse about that before you do it. But there's going to be a multitude of things that you can do to, how can we make it safe? Remember, when it comes to getting a loan, people get way too weirded out about how big it is, but long story short is, if somebody's going to give you money, how confident are they that they're going to get it back? It's that simple. If you can help them understand with a great business plan, that's going to take some of that comfort, make them more comfortable. If you can add some collateral to it, that's going to make them even more comfortable. If you can put a substantial amount of money in, maybe you say, I'm going to put 30% in, and then I will subordinate, meaning I will be behind the bank and the bank gets their money. That's all good, or whoever's being bank. And that leads to the third thing there. So we've built the business plan that says, yeah, this is going to fit with who we are and we're going to do great at it. And it shows it and we're really comfortable. You may even have some additional contracts contingent on there. Then with having that, it makes it easy and comfortable, to a no-brainer. We should do this all day long, and this is why, and we're comfortable with this with the business. This person maybe has additional collateral, and maybe they're putting a good chunk of money down that we know they've got a lot of skin in the game. We're really covered. That's going to make it easier. And then the last thing is to think about who is playing bank. So often we think, oh, well, the owner, or loan we associate with banks. I've done loans with banks for businesses, and usually banks don't like to loan money unless you don't need it. I don't know why that is, but they're very, very risk adverse. Their loan committees are super uptight. And we talk about how to find great small business bankers in this channel. You're welcome to check those out or go to our courses. But find a great small business bank, and we tell you exactly how to find those small business banks. Meaning, is this somebody you've asked very simple questions when you're doing interviews? How many loans have you done in the last year of this size? If you're at a 500,000, how many have you made? And if they say none, well, there's banks out there that only do $10 million loans. There's banks out there that only do $100 million loans. But they're not going to say no to you because they don't want to get profiled for saying, oh, we're profiling people, even though they're profiling them. It just doesn't fit their lending curriculum. So ask those questions. We specifically talk, and check out some of the other videos on how to find a great banker. Because finding a great banker is going to be half the battle. And you may have to run this up the flagpole with 4 or 5 different banks, sometimes 10 banks. But looking at that, when you have these other pieces coordinated, it's going to make it easier. Now, some alternative for loans, or maybe joint venturing, is the business owner themselves. I've actually bought businesses with no money from the business owner, and the business owner decided they would play bank, meaning that we would pay them an agreed upon monthly amount over a certain period. There's all sorts of different structures you can do. There's earnouts, there's fixed rates, there's multiple notes, there's a variety of different things. But long story short is that for a loan, small business banker could be your way, and maybe they have a relationship with SBA, which is the Small Business Administration. It could be the owner themselves are willing to play banker, or you could even go with somebody who's an outside investor. They're usually harder to find, and they aren't interested in a lot of the smaller loans, but sometimes they are. And sometimes you may even find somebody who would be willing to be an investor if maybe you're in an industrial, or you're in a commercial, or a B2B, business to business aspect, and you're going to be solving a pretty big need for them. They may say, yeah, you know what, we'll pay for this up front for you, and we'll play bank for you over this period because we know you, your track record, and what you're doing, and we're going to have a great relationship with you on these things. It's harder. I've seen it a few times, but it's possible. Going back to the SBA, Small Business Administration. What this is you don't typically go directly to SBA. Typically you have banks that are SBA affiliated, and they'll take a loan, or they'll take an application on behalf of the SBA. It used to be this was a huge giant pain in the ass, and I always encourage people to avoid them. But I think SBA has gotten easier, and it may be an alternative for people. But they are going to make sure that they cross-collateralize. If you have house or other stuff, they're going to want that. And they are going to require a certain amount of money down. But there's a lot of different alternatives, but a great small business banker can help you negotiate that. So ideally, this gives you a little bit of value, wondering how do I get a loan to buy a small business? A lot of different ways. But first thing is make sure that you really have your idea in mind and that you've got a great business plan. As a result, it's got to be a no-brainer, no questions asked. And once you do that, then you have to define who is going to be playing banker. So hopefully you got some value out of that. If you did, please subscribe, hit share, show it off to other people, check out some other videos on the channel. And if you're interested, we've got a whole course at aspiringsolopreneur.com. Keep smiling.